Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You've reached the Boho Info Show. And today I've got some very interesting information about the building that collapsed in Miami. And you know me, I always, give my opinions through the whole show of everything that I'm doing. But at the same time, take everything with a grain of salt, do your own research, and I make no claims on anything. And here's the thing, this stuff that I'm about to show you guys is going to be really interesting that they're not telling any media right now for some reason. They're not seeing the patterns, the codes, the whatever. It's so far I'm not seeing it on any TV situations here in Florida, um, or any national news of any sort in this perspective, and I'm not seeing it yet on any YouTube channel. So I'm going to show you some interesting stuff. I hope you guys can see the camera okay. I don't know if you can. Please comment in the area of my camera, if because I kind of changed things around a little bit so that you guys can hopefully see the screen better and listen to things better. So I hope everything is okay, and let me know, because I'll periodically stop through the show on that and check things, okay? So everything looks good? Okay. Also, too, just giving you a heads up, I do have now also, before I start the show, I am looking for moderators. Anybody wants to do one, give me thumbs up. You got to prove yourself, though, you know what I mean? And I'll do a little thing on you, see, make sure you're qualified. Okay, good. And then also, too, yes, looking for moderators. So if anybody wants to be one, let me know. Also, the other thing is I also have now PayPal set up, so you guys can do your donations. I didn't have nothing. I've been holding back for about a year or more. Some of you guys have done ways around it, but so right now, if you go into YouTube, or even as you see scrolling on the bottom of your screen here, there's a link there now to do donations to the channel and everything that I do on my work. Okay. Yeah, just put it in the comment area. Those who want to be a mod, let me know. And like I say, you got to have a picture type thing. You got to have a good profile situation. You know what I'm looking for. All right, so put it in the comment area on that too. So let's get into the show. And if you guys got any comments or questions, put that also in the comment and question area on any of this stuff. I'll try to answer questions periodically through the show if I can. And I will also be posting links in the area that will be scrolling on the bottom of your screen. So get the PayPal thing on here now that's scrolling on the bottom. If not, then you can go to YouTube, and it's the first link in YouTube, and if you want to do any donations too, okay? All right. So, like I say, take everything with a grain of salt. Do your own research. I don't make no claims on anything. And through my shows, I always give you my 2 cents worth or my opinion about. So, and this is going to be linked to the correlation of the show that I did yesterday. So think, if you didn't see that show yesterday, make sure you see it, because this is going to correlate with that one as well. So I want you to listen. There's going to be things that you're going to be seeing and listening here in this show. So, make sure I'm not going to stop and start stuff. Okay. Get yourself a piece of paper and a pencil to write your little notes on, or whatever you're going to do. And if you have to, you can always rewind the show and play it again, kind of thing. Okay. So anyway, let's get into it. The first thing that kind of got me is YouTube was pushing this advertisement for the Champagne Towers in Surfside, which is the exact same one that went down. They're pushing it today for some reason, right? Well, evidently, this was posted May 1st in 2019. So as we're looking at all aspects of things, and talking about the subject, okay, was this thing under a sale, and for what this advertisement is, I'm not going to play the music, but I'm going to talk through it. But this gives you an idea of kind of how big the place was, how close together the condos were, how close to the water it was, which is, has free beach access, evidently. Um, a lot of units, 407. So think about how many that dropped. And think about all the activities in that complex that are to the residents and how close they are to the beach and stuff. And, it kind of has the same setup like a really, really nice 5-star hotel. Okay. And as you're seeing these pictures of what it looks like inside, it kind of looks to me, I mean, yeah, a condo, I guess, but it wouldn't be one of my elite condos I'd be looking at. This is more like a 5-star resort kind of hotel thing, that I'm looking at. Now, whether it's dated, I don't know, could be, but this was 2019. So evidently this is state of the art back in 2019. I don't know. You're seeing it for what it's worth. I mean, white appliances, to me, I do stainless steel, but hey, I don't know. Maybe that's just the way they did it down there. But you can see the views of everything and how big the rooms were. So it gives you an idea of how they're living. And if, it's a small bedroom, large bedroom, fully furnished, fully furnished. Kind of reminds me of like a retirement kind of community kind of thing, maybe, with the rich ones, you know what I'm saying? But there's a pool. Very important to take note on the pool about what I'm going to tell you on that too. And then they have their own barbecue area. As you can see, this is not a cheap type of living quarters, okay, at any means, when they have all these extra benefits of someone living there, right? So I thought that was kind of interesting. And you can see how, even just from these little pictures in the beginning, how close it was to water, right? So I just wanted to show you that perspective before I get into the other part of it. If you need to replay it, you can do that at your own time. But this is what I want you to hear.
She was the most fun person. Model Cassie Stratton on missing at Surfside condo.
Okay, they're saying model Cassie Stratton among the missing at the Surfside condo. And this was posted June 25th and it was updated another time through that day. So evidently she's one of the victims that's in the rubble, maybe?
Early Thursday morning, Mike Stratton awoke to the sound of his cell phone ringing. It was his wife, Cassie Stratton, on the other end, speaking frantically about their condo building shaking. She told him she saw a sinkhole where the pool out her window used to be. Then the line went dead. She told him she saw a sinkhole where the pool out her window used to be.
Now, what he's emphasizing is that the wife called the husband saying that there was a sinkhole where the pool used to be. Okay, now I'm going to read, something's really fishy with this one. Let me do it again.
Then the line went dead.
All right, let me go here. It says they woke to a sound of cell phone ringing. His wife, Cassie Stratton, was on the other end, speaking frantically about the condo building shaking. She told him she saw a sinkhole where the pool out her window used to be. Then the line went dead. Now think about that. Okay, just I'll say a little bit it again. She told him she saw a sinkhole where the pool out her window used to be, and then the line went dead. At 1:30 a.m., I'll never forget that, he said. Monday, Mike saw Cassie when he departed Miami to the business trip to Washington, D.C. Okay, so he departed Miami to go to Washington, D.C. Now she is one of 159 unaccountable people in that mess right now, which, by the way, as of today, There is 5 so far passing on this now. It rose, and there's 159 unaccountable, which seems like that's rising now. So yeah, anyway, I guess they're fearing her to be underneath the rubble of everything. And okay, let me go back here. Let me go back. Okay.
She saw a sinkhole where the pool out her window used to be.
That's an actual bottom view of what maybe a sinkhole looks like. And I'm raising red flags like they're raising red lights. Did you see that symbol? Recall vector.
The man said his wife told him she saw a sinkhole where the pool used to be. Well, here's a side-by-side, before and after. Look at the pool. It's still there. And there's no sinkhole. Here's what a pool looks like when there is a sinkhole. And sometimes, when the sinkhole is huge, you can't even see the pool. But there was one here before it got swallowed up.
Now, just to let you guys know, this is another sinkhole in another part of the world. It's not in Miami, okay? And this one, I believe, was done by methane gas.
By the sinkhole. But when I look at this photograph, I still see a pool. And I don't see a sinkhole. Here's the pool before this horrific tragedy. And here it is after. There's no recording of this phone call conversation.
Did you hear the man? He said there's no recording of this phone call conversation.
But that's what Mike Stratton says. She said, a prominent call.
Now write down, remember I told you guys, write down names of things, right? Recall vector, we're going to look into Mike Stratton, right? Okay. Mike Stratton is a prominent Colorado political strategist, has flown out to Miami area for some reason, right? I guess probably to visit the wife maybe. And Search and Cassie's wife, mother, and true friend of many.
Colorado political strategist. He works in both Denver and Washington, has spent decades working with Democrats in Colorado, including the campaigns of Senator Michael Bennet, former Governor John Hickenlooper. He also worked in the administrations of former Presidents Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton.
So there you go. Didn't I tell you there was always going to be a political connection? Didn't I always tell you guys there was going to be a reverse money trail to find this stuff? Okay? Whether it's forward or backwards, we're always going to find it. This is proof that it's connected to the politicalness. It's connected to, evidently, Democrats, because we got Jimmy Carter and we got Bill Clinton. Well, we know about the Clinton situation, right? Okay? Just saying.
Well, for some reason, unfortunately, the video that's available of this collapse only shows the precise moment that it begins. And we don't get to see the moments prior. I produced the clip with maximum zoom and then zoomed in some more and added some light.
Now, again, I want you to look at these structures, even if you have to rewind my show, to see how it's coming down. It's not going sideways. It's not leaning over. It's not going backwards or forwards or swaying. The thing is going down, okay? So only 2 things can happen that way, either through a detonation or a target detonation or an actual sinkhole. Well, since there was no spotting of any sinkhole, now it's telling me to look and lean towards the targeted, detonation. Okay?
There was roof construction underway since April 5th. The mayor said
see how it's going back and forth?
see them working on it. Huh. I seem to recall that renovations were made to some towers back in 2001 before they went down.
Did you hear that? So they're always saying whenever towers and things are going down, there's always construction happening. And then all of a sudden that building or tower goes down. He said back in 2001, I guess in Miami, they had another situation where another thing came down from construction. See how it went flat? Did you see how that just came out down straight? Not sideways, not backwards or forwards, straight down. It's like, if I don't know if anybody has taken legs of a table out at one time, what happens? It don't lean sideways. It goes straight down. That's a detonation situation. See, straight down. And only maybe a little bit of the roof leaned forward, because I imagine the rubble is piling up on top of each other. See, straight down. You don't see anything going straight forward. You don't see nothing going straight back. You don't even see it hitting the other two buildings.
To go down like that unless someone literally pulls out the supports from underneath.
Did you hear that?
Or they get washed out. Or there is a sinkhole or something like that. Because it just went down.
Now, I want you to look at that clause. The Surfside mayor, which is Miami's mayor, Charles Burkett, said this quote on news, on TV. Okay? And he says, there's no reason for this building to go down like that unless someone literally pulls out the supports, which are supporting the whole building now, underneath, or get washed out, or there's a sinkhole or something like that. Because it just went down, said Surfside Mayor Charles Burkett. Now, think about that and the phone call that the wife made to the husband. Did you see something there? Are you awake? Did you see something? Okay. Let's continue.
Well, I don't know what the fuck happened, but I still see the pool.
See how the building went down? And it just pancaked down. Another thing you have to look at is this huge pile of rubble. You got to understand that not only the central part of this came down, which is, connected to this building here, but this whole other building came down. Where is the huge pile of rubble? Now, there can be less rubble if there's detonation, right? Because it all of a sudden becomes powder, right? And remember, cement can become powder, I'm just saying, just from, what I'm seeing here and everything so far.
I don't see a sinkhole.
Yeah, I don't see no sinkhole either. Do you guys see sinkhole? Let's back that up. Let's back that up a little bit. Let's go a little bit slow. Let's go frame by frame. I want you to see something. Okay, I want you guys watch this area right here. I want you to see, here's what's very important, that even the three-letter agencies, the fire department down there in Miami, FEMA and all them are refusing to see. You see all these right here? These are actual layers of the condo that went down like a pancake. Okay, and I'm using that terminology. I know what you're thinking. But if this thing was to actually fall due structure failure, it doesn't happen on all 4 legs or 6 legs or 10, 12 million legs that's underneath the whole thing that support it. Okay, what happens is maybe a couple give out, and then what happens is the building leans and then falls down and looks like an accordion when it falls down, kind of thing, right? This went straight down. Okay, so you have layers when it goes straight down as a detonation. Like you say, if you blow out the legs of any building, okay, through a detonation situation, it goes straight down. There's no leaning of any direction. It goes straight down. And it had to have been a detonation because there is no showing of any from the actual debris where it's an accordion of debris in any direction, right? It's just straight down. So you're seeing layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10 layers there. Now let's see what we got here. So right here, the dark part here is the top of the building, right? And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the bottom. So right there is proof, because there's 10 layers here, where the condos were, and they're all sitting on top of each other like that. No one on any news network in the world has caught this that I'm showing you guys for the first time. No one on the internet, on YouTube or anything, has caught this. And I'm showing this for the first time. Which makes me lead to say that all the legs of the condo were blasted out by an actual detonation. Now, whether it was a supposedly quote unquote constructional kind of detonation, here's the thing on that, and suspicious to me, is that if it was supposedly a constructional thing, you understand construction companies always carry high-end explosives and are legally allowed to do so for whatever they're dealing with, right? Usually it's high-end plastic explosives or something. If you follow some of the videos from Las Vegas when they detonate a lot of those Las Vegas casino things, to put new ones up, they'll tell you like what kind of stuff they used, I guess, on it or whatever. So that would be the excuse to bring in the explosives to that construction company, since they've supposedly been working on this whole building, okay, through the construction company, that these explosives were brought in, and then someone put them all on the legs on the condo and then blasted them out. Now, it could have been done by remote, which would be the DEW kind of thing maybe, or it could have been done manually. That I'm not sure yet. We're still checking things out. But I want you to hear the rest of this. And the pool is there. There's no sinkhole around the pool.
That's an interesting number.
Yeah, write down that number. Did you see that? That's another pattern. Let me go to it right there. 8777. Okay, write that down. For those who follow gematria code, that's an excellent number to check out. For those who know gematria code, okay. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm not going to cover it. You guys go check it out. You do your research. But yeah, we're on a very thin timeline for things to happen here soon. I'll just put it that way.
That's an interesting number.
See how it goes straight down? Watch the pictures. Straight down, no sideways. It's not even bumping into the other two buildings. The center one never touched the other two buildings, which shows me more evidence of a detonation. And then see how that one came down? Right on top of each other with a slight front on the top because it's probably top heavy. Look at this building here when it goes down. Really important to see that. Right? So yeah, um, like I say, what really threw me off and gave me the immediate red flag, which I'm really shocked none of our agencies have even caught it, was that middle one, how it went down. Because that middle building never, ever touched the other two buildings, which proves to me that, it was like to me, it seemed to me, I mean, that's my opinion, that it was a sinkhole thing. But okay, now check this one out. Here is an actual controlled footage situation. Not this one, but this is the another video of the area of it there. And the right in this sound was too strong, too violent. It almost felt. All right, I want you to listen to the lady in this. And something was not right in this sound. It was too strong, too violent. It almost felt like a shockwave. Did you hear that? Now, what I'm going to present to you guys is witnesses. Okay? So what she's saying, that before this thing came down, it sounded like a shock wave. Okay? And it was only 30 seconds maybe before the situation happened, before the collapse. Now, let's think about that. Write shock wave down on your paper. What creates a shock wave? Detonation? I don't know. What do you think? All right, hang on. Let me get to this part here. Now, I want you to hear this, but also see how the building comes down. And it went on for 30 seconds. Here's another witness. This is the second one. Yesterday in my video, if you didn't check out my show yesterday, in that show, I gave your first witness of a witness before the actual building collapsed, that he said 30 minutes that, or not 30 minutes, but 30 seconds before the actual building came down, that he felt like the ground was shaking, like something there. And it went on for 30 seconds, I'd say, at least. Did you hear that? Now, this guy, I want you to take down, I'm going to do it again. This is what they call pre-detonation. Now, there wasn't no pre-detonation on the building, I don't think. Now, this guy, write his name down. Barry Coheen. Barry Coheen. Okay, he not only lives in the building, but he was on the side of where the middle column part came down, but his area that he was living in was right attached to it, and it didn't collapse his unit or his side of that of the other building, I guess. And he was the one that was right next to the one closest to the center part of the building that came down first. So I want you to listen to his testimony. He's saying that it was 30 seconds before what he was seeing and hearing, and before the middle building came down. And it went on for 30 seconds, I'd say, at least. See, so he heard and felt something 30 seconds. So that is this is like the third eyewitness proof of a 30-second window for the possibility of the detonation of that building before it actually collapsed. Fire. This is what controlled demolition footage looks like. And it was as loud as you could ever, the loudest thing I've ever heard. Did you hear that? So it was the loudest thing you can ever hear. Now I know what a building collapsing sounds like. See how all that building down on. Okay, whole thing came down straight down. It did not. The whole building didn't lean left. The whole building didn't move.
Now I know what a building collapsing sounds like.
See, same thing. So I'm really shocked that our governor of Florida is not demanding an internal investigation on this by the, well, non-trustworthy three-letter agencies or someone else to come in here and check out the construction company and do a complete internal investigation on them, along with all their workers.
And we went out on our balcony, and Surfside police were already there.
Did you hear that? Now, we know usually the police don't just instantly show up like they've been beamed down, okay? But he's saying they were already there.
And we said, what should we do? And they said, go back inside. We don't know what's going on. Fire.
See?
Oh, yeah.
So is this a detonation that was an uncontrolled detonation? I mark it suspicious, maybe, you know? This been maybe uncontrolled. No one knew about it because not even the police department knew about it.
Listen, thank you for tuning in, Dirty Laundry family. Really quickly, you know, as you can see in the video that I juxtaposed along with some of the footage from one of the
Here, hang on.
it was a hit.
Here, I'll put it back. I'll let you listen to him a minute.
I posted some footage, as you can see, on loop in the background of a controlled demolition. You heard the audio prior to the detonation. There were some loud booms of explosives going off, and then you can see the building, you know, in an orderly collapse. Juxtaposed against the footage from the Surfside building, it looks pretty similar. Would you say not? Let me know what you think.
Exactly. Don't it look similar? I think it does. All right, now let me get to some of this other part here.
And the structure is going to be unstable.
Hang on a minute.
Operations. Shockwave can travel outwards. This will cause windows to break and make damage surrounding buildings. As you can see in the footage, the other part of the building didn't collapse, but it did take severe damage. And shortly after the explosion or collapse, as you can see, if you check on live footage now, it's raining in the area, which is also impeding search and rescue operations. So as I stated, most likely the case.
It was too strong, too violent. It almost felt like a shockwave.
So again,
See, so the lady said basically like a 30-second window where she felt like a shockwave and heard a shockwave, which could have been the actual detonation.
this was a comment made by a person who was actually on the scene during the explosion, and she described the sound and the feeling as that of a shockwave. So, you know, the shockwave is like a water hose. If you put your hand in front of a water hose, as the water comes out, it fans to all sides. And in this case, when cloud coverage is below 1,200 feet, it reacts like the hand in front of the hose. The wave from the shock
will fan out instead of up toward the sky. So these are just some of the things.
So there you go. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I know you guys want some links here, which I will give you some links on. Here's your first one here. This one that I'm giving you right now, that you're going to see on the bottom of the screen, will be the link to the actual sale of the towers there in Miami. Gives you a perspective of the location, inside, outside, how the construction was on the units that they were selling and everything else. So write that one down. And then the next one here that I'm showing you is the video on this one here, which is this one here, which is the Model Cassie one. Okay. That one there. Okay. And then the third one I'm giving you will be for this one here. And that one, let me post that one up. There's your third one, which is the actual one with the witnesses on it. Besides the one witness I had yesterday in my yesterday show. If you didn't see the first witness, go back to my yesterday show on that one. Today we've got two more. They're all matching up to a 30-second window. Okay. All right. Let me go into comments and questions. And if we have to revamp certain things, let's see here. Hole above the pool? No. Yeah, there's no holes in it, on it, around it, supposedly, that she's saying. So, yeah, Dawn, I didn't see anything. You didn't see anything, all that. The other thing is that, let's see. Smooth says, she said that there was a sinkhole. Where's the pool used to be? Not the pool. Well, that's what I'm saying. So you have to look at the terminology, because if they're going to do a cover-up job, they always screw up, right? Whenever they're verbalizing something, whether it's in an interview, on the phone, at a podium, or whatever. So the story didn't match, right? So, and the proof is there where the pool is, right? Because it was before and after shots of the pool, right? And after the thing came down, the pool is still there. So, we got red flags flying all over the place on this one. You know what I mean? Dawn says, another Clinton. Yep, that's true. Let's see. Carol says, I think it was combination things. Rebar rusting, concrete connector joints perhaps rusted, not done correctly. Wind, building was sinking and had structural issues. Here's the problem. You guys got to see the first video on that one. The one that shows the sale. Okay. If you look at the construction of what the bottom part looks like, they have these huge concrete pillars holding up the place. How many of them? I don't know. I didn't count them all. Okay. But look at that, because the building that collapsed first was in the middle. It wasn't on each side. It was in the middle. So when you're getting any kind of ocean wind, you got two buildings basically shielding that middle one. So it couldn't have been wind. And that day, since they had, rain in the evening hours, I guess it was, there wasn't any kind of tropical storms, not enough wind, not enough rain to blow it down, Plus, also, you have to take into account, Carol, the actual eyewitnesses saying that there was a 30-second window before the building came down and what they heard and felt. That has a major pattern factor of evidence of something happening before the building happened. And from my research on different things and what I just showed you, the surface part of it right now, of what a detonation looks like, to me, it smells the high heaven of an unplanned detonation on the actual building. And especially if the police officers were already there. How many times have you heard and this is where you guys got to be awake. How many times in past history with major events that you're saying all of a sudden the fire department's already there, or all of a sudden the police is already there, or all of a sudden some kind of emergency something is there, okay? Always involved with an FF. And now all of a sudden we got FEMA down here. Why would FEMA be coming down here? I mean, yeah, I can see them maybe helping housing all those people, but don't you think they would have an internal investigation on the construction company? Supposedly, if they had construction happening, and remembering the licensing of how construction companies can have, explosives and things, right? So yeah, the whole thing is an FF. And it could be an actual planned FF to actually try to get rid of a few people that might have had some key evidence or freaking something else, I don't know, under the sun. You know what I mean? Anything's possible in this day and age right now, where they're hiding evidence or had evidence, or they don't want them to talk. What way to do it? Bring them on down, right? And remember, location. If you saw my show yesterday, if you didn't go see it, in there it said that Kushner and the Trump family, Ivanka there, I believe her name, or Kushner, was only about a couple blocks away from where this building is. Okay? I'm just saying. And now we actually found that there's a political, connection here today. I mean, don't you think, aren't you smelling the stink yet, guys out there? Are you smelling it? Okay. Anyway, so there. Okay, then let's see. Okay, Carol also says a former senator wife lived in my tower. My guess is she'll probably didn't make it. A former senator's wife lived there in a tower. Yes. Like I say, is this a political tower? It could be. It could be. It could be, people live in there that's not only in the politic part, but could be living there because they work in the government. You have to think about that situation and strain and possibility. Is this where they're, the old saying is, I'm going to kill many birds with one stone? Is that kind of thing? You just never know. And then the pancake effect. Yes, suggests the floor is connectors. Yep. And let's see. BW and in California are inspected every year. This city hasn't been inspected 40 years. And that's very true. And what's very interesting too, if you look in the timelines of all our infrastructures that failed, okay, and all of a sudden you hear that there's been a collapse, check into detonations. Check into if there was construction people working on it or construction companies working on it. At the same time, look at the age, because the older it gets on a building, the easier it is for them to take a hit job and detonate that building, and it's easier for it to go down. Right? Things to think about. So, through everything in our timeline that we have lived through, all you guys in my audience and so on, think about that. Also, think about the 911 thing. Okay? The same thing with that. How old was that building? Was there construction going on? Maybe it was detonated. Maybe it wasn't. Questioning things. That's what it's all about. Let's see. Susie Q. It fell down because the ground is sinking in Florida. Here's the thing, Susie Q. And it could be possible, but let's think about this. And we did explore that in my last show. If you didn't see the last show, Susie, go check it out. But if it was a sinkhole, do you think there would be a 30-second window with at least 3 or 4 eyewitnesses of the same 30-second window saying basically the same thing of what they're hearing and feeling before the building came down? I don't think so. Sinkholes are silent killers. They don't tell you when they're going to do their thing. Which leading me to believe that this was an unplanned detonation. Or a secretive one, either way. Yep, Carol, it was a couple years ago on that for Hard Rock. Let's see. I don't remember which Hard Rock it was. Let's see. Carol says that she saw before the building went down that there was cracking noise, but no detonation. Videos from inside were the same too. I'd like to see the video on that, Carol. If you can send me the link and put it in my chat, I would love to examine that because there would be a new factor on that. Knowing, and you got to understand something in construction, that if there is a flaw in the design, let's say a crack in the wall or a crack in a column, it would make it all more easier for detonation. Okay, so we still can't rule out that. You know what I mean? Carol says wind waves create small shock waves too. True, but there wasn't enough wind or enough waves. I mean, if it was a hurricane with wind and waves, yeah, then I could see the shock wave. But there wasn't nothing happening that night and early morning. Okay. Carol says the sounds like the structure failure, just like an after earthquake, pretty eerie that something caught that on video. I'd like to hear those, Carol, if you have the video, if you can send them to me, I'd appreciate it. I'll examine it, really. I would like to check that one out. Yeah, James says, was those buildings all connected? Yes, they were. Now, how they were connected, I'm not sure. From what I'm seeing from the actual part that actually came down and all that, it looked like it was metal. That was like hanging down from the ones that were standing, was like metal connections. So it wasn't like a solid piece of concrete connecting all the buildings, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you'd have to study the debris and location, how it came down, to see what's left of the debris hanging off the other building, to see where the connections were made. You know what I mean? Let's see. Grant says interesting. Yeah, it is. Let's see. Yeah, here's the thing on that, Carol, on the connectors and rusted. Usually in Florida, being that we're in a southern state, it would be more the salt water that would deteriorate concrete than it would be metal, because as long as there wasn't a huge ocean wave that splashed over the whole condo to create that extra salt that is needed in the iron to rust it away, like your cars, you know, I would say that it would be more the actual concrete part. You know what I mean? James says it's very weird. Yes, that's what exactly. It's suspicious, and I'm leaning towards James that it was an uncontrolled detonation, since they've already had the construction there, construction company there and stuff. Lawsuits have been filed against the building management. Yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot more coming on that one too. And they said there was, okay, let's see. Carol says lawsuits have been filed against the building management for the building was sinking. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to go back into the court records on that and really check the trail on the money trail on that one. I'm not saying there isn't, but I imagine they're going to be having a lot more now added to that one. So this will probably be a good, big, huge lawsuit for insurance settlement type thing of loss of life and all that. Let's see. James says if sinking holes open up, you would think the rest of the building would hold some of the middle. No, not necessarily, James. Sinkholes are very unpredictable, and their shapes even when they open up. They can open in circular, rectangular, triangular, however, you know. It just depends on where the weight is. And you got to understand, Florida again is on a ground of limestone and sand and underground aquifers. And the more people moving in Florida, of course, and sucking and drinking up all our fresh water that might be in the aquifers, of course, would actually create a sinkhole, right? But also, being so close to the coast, you would have solidification, which means the water basically, with where we already know Miami's sinking into the ocean because of the weight, but being so close to the beach area, and you guys know, like when a wave comes up and you got dry sand, but all of a sudden the water comes up, and then all of a sudden it starts moving. You can move your hand down into the sand very easily. That's solidification. So, the same thing could happen there. Far as I know, there was no extra high tide at that time. There was, so far, I'm not seeing any recording of any earthquake area that would create a solidification thing that would actually create something like that in a sinkhole. I mean, here's the thing: everything in the state of Florida or any southern coastal areas in the United States or even western coastal areas can have this problem. And you'd see like cracks into the building. Okay. You would see maybe things shifting a little bit. I've heard of houses shifting and all that. So it's not a big thing. It happens because you're around water. And again, the way this thing pancaked down, um, I'm still going to say it was uncontrolled detonation. I'm still feeling that. Carol says, you feel and hear things when a building is getting ready to fall. It's a sickening sound and feeling. Quite a few buildings after 1971 and 94 earthquakes here, the same thing, only they had the sense to. So yeah, see, so there again, you can sense maybe that there was some kind of silent detonation or a detonation of some sort right before the building went down. They had, was it, four witnesses now for a 30-second window of, before the buildings went down. It's highly possible it could have been a detonation, uncontrolled one. Um, Yeah, the video, yeah, it speaks for itself, Kevin. Yeah, it does. Let's see. Uh, okay, I will check that out, Carol. I'll check it out. Let's see. What else here? Any other questions and comments we'll talk about here? Um, okay. James is asking, what would be the incentive to demolition this building and hide the insurance, or what? Um, Well, here's the factor we got to open up and look at, and maybe get people awake to. We have political connections. Okay, so that's one factor you have to write on your paper. We have political connections to this situation here in the States, but we also have international political connections from Paraguay, right? On top of it, we have democratic connections, right? We also have to look at how much these things cost to buy. These are not for the middle class at all. These things are like $250,000 on up. So it has to be someone of wealth. Now, you see in my first video on the show the actual tower and the real estate company trying to sell these little units and stuff. I'm not going to say units, little units, but they are what they are. But yeah, you've got to look at money motivation on this. And then also you got to look at, is this one of those like possibilities that it might be one of those, Clinton hit things maybe, or could it be a political hit, or could it be a deep state hit? You know what I'm saying? There's enough here stinking like it could be. I'll put it that way. You know what I'm saying? Um, possibilities. Let's see what else. But you see what I'm saying? You got to collect all this evidence, and then that's why I tell you guys to write down on paper all these things. Anytime you have my show, make sure you always have a piece of paper and pen, write down this stuff. Let's see. Michael says there's a diesel truck parked where the parking area collapsed. The truck was way too heavy to be parked in the elevator parking area. That's 10,000-pound truck was being held up by a single column. Yes, they're strong trucks, and I've heard of semi trucks holding up a column area of a high rise. And yes, they're heavy trucks. And yeah, so again, now here's the other thing on that, Michael, and here's something that everybody needs to listen to and question about right now, what Michael has proposed on this situation here that he's talking about, is if there was a diesel truck parked there, what was a diesel truck for? Was it for construction? Did it have materials in it? Maybe it was the truck used in, maybe, I'm just saying, possibility of bringing in explosives for bringing down the building. Detonation. Just a possibility, I'm saying. Something to think about, right? How else are they, bringing in stuff? Usually they don't hand bring it in. It has to come in by a truck on detonation stuff, right? And there again, that's why they need to investigate the construction company and each of the workers, and look at their backgrounds. Again, I'm still feeling strongly that it was an uncontrolled detonation. That, Michael. All right, and then the other thing. Let's see. Carol says, wind puts stress on building. Yes, and yes. And the building, to let you guys know, I believe they said was built in 2001, I think. I'm not sure on that, but I think they said it was 2001. So it's not like it had prior to like Hurricane Charlie or any of them type things of the construction, because almost every year to every 5 to 10 years they update their safety construction situations for any building, whether it's a house, a business, a high rise, or anything else. So they have new restrictions in place, I believe, as of 2000 for the wind situation. And I believe they had to have certain extra safety protocols for high rises and buildings of that sort for that. So I don't really see, unless it's like a category 4 or 5 hurricane, that it would actually do enough structure damage. You know what I'm saying? I've heard of 3s being structurally damaged. Yeah. But anything lower than that, no. Trust me, I've gone through 3 hurricanes myself, or 4 in 1 year, and I've learned a lot about that personally. So yeah. All right, and then let's see. Texas TW says, who lived there could have had information on hand. Is there a list of owners? I also heard that McAfee had a friend living there. This is some kind of cover up also. Exactly. And that's why I'm stemming to the actual, this question was posed from Texas TW on chat. And this is why I'm proposing to you guys that it's highly possible, because we already found many, many political connections, not only to the U.S., but political connections to Argentina and Paraguay, and with the Democrat side, and so on, right? And this could be just one of those operations, like they called it, we call it recall vector, maybe, that it could have been one of those operations to basically take down as many as they could, right? And this could have been an unplanned detonation, and it could have been done even remotely. Let's put it that way. The possibilities are unlimited. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, of course, you're not going to hear none of this stuff on your TV news network because why? They've been bought and paid for by the Democrats and a few others higher up, right? And you're not going to hear a lot of this on your internet because some of them been bought and paid for by the Democrats and their higher ups, right? So, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If enough of you guys are awake out there, it looks like there's quite a few listening to my show, you'll understand that, hey, you have to question everything because whatever you're seeing on TV is not really the truth. They're just there to entertain you, right? Whether it's good news, bad news, indifferent, stuff you disagree with, or is entertained, right? So, how are you going to get the truth? The only way you're going to get the truth is asking questions and talking about it, entertaining the possibilities, you know. So yeah, so there you go. And then let's see, the other question was another one from Michael. It says here, and the elevated area has a giant planter box. Bet irrigation just watered it before the collapse. Well, you know what? I mean, they could sit here and water all the plants. It makes no difference, seriously. Because if this was a planned thing, it was a planned thing, right? Kevin Van something or another says here the 9/11 syndrome injected multiple theories to distract from the fact that it was a classic detonation. Very true. Very true. And that's why I hope you guys listen to this stuff that I'm giving you guys because there's enough here that I'm just really shocked that only FEMA is down there and not any three-letter agencies investigating the what do you call it? The real estate manager, the construction company, and each of the people there that work for them, and any other visitors or any other kind of work being done, whether it's plumbing, electrical, or otherwise. Because this stinks to me of two things, either a planned detonation or a sabotage. Or both, or just a planned attack from whatever, maybe I don't know. Um, it just stinks. It stinks. Let's see what else here. Michael also says here, that girl watched the pool deck collapse and then it domino effect into her building. Here's the thing, Michael. If the pool collapsed, it wouldn't be there after the collapse of the building. Right? Think about it. Unless you got some new pictures now that might be showing something, but I'm not seeing them yet. Carol says, I'll put it like this. I rarely go into high rises. You could never get me to live in one of those. That's true. I wouldn't either. Let's see. Carol says the Twin Towers were very different. Yeah, that was. Here's the thing on the difference on the Twin Towers. They were a lot higher. If they did do a controlled or uncontrolled detonation on that, they couldn't do it from the ground up because of it being so high up. And that's why they kind of hit it in the middle. See what I'm saying? That's all I'm going to say there. Let's see. Gotcha there, Kevin. I'll write that one down. Hang on a minute while I continue. Also, let's see. James says blow up a building is a lot of trouble to get rid of someone. Not really, because here's the thing on that. If they want to blow up a building that is loaded with politicians, not only for the U.S., but for foreign countries, okay, that would be a clear message, not only in our country and the other countries that were involved as a politician, sending a message to those countries, but for the globe overall. You understand? It's kind of like a war thing. Okay? I'll just leave it like that. Yeah, I think you can read between what I'm, or, listen to what I'm saying between the lines there. Let's see. Carol says the ground sinking, dissolving in Florida shifts and cause sinkholes. Building, what was that? Missed it. Hang on. Okay. Additional shifting going on. Damages occur a bit over time. Buildings built in 1981. There's a lot of old buildings, Carol, in Miami built before then. But I don't believe, okay, Randy, the building was built in 41, okay, or 41 years ago, which is 1980. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, then, like I say, then that would be not within the construction codes for certain things. So I can see that. Also, Carol says McAfee is another story. And yes, that's another situation there. Yeah, we won't talk about that this time on here. And it says we heard a lot of shady construction going on back then. So there again, was the construction company, I want to say, a tax haven for the politicians? And at the same time, if the politicians didn't get along, were they the ones that were the detonators for the people that they didn't like? Let's ask that question, Carol. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is great that we're talking about this because I think it's long overdue, and I want to thank everybody for coming out. But if you didn't see the first eyewitness, go to my show yesterday. It will talk about who that is, and I've got his name. Otherwise, you've got like 2 or 3 here in this show on the 30-second window of witnessing the situation before the collapse. And I think that's vital information that not only our governor but our other people are overlooking. Um, you know me, I give always my opinion on things, and I always see patterns. I always have since I was a kid. And I'm sorry, but this is stinking of a uncontrolled detonation, and I think a hit. Um, and whether it's for one particular person or a bunch of them, we're still going down that rabbit hole. Okay. And even if this was a planned FF, the planned FF kind of backfired and found the connections, right? So, yeah. And like I say, don't keep focusing on this because you got to understand something. How the Democrats work is that they want to give you the biggest distraction possible so they can steer away from anything from the right side, the Republican side, or Trump and his rallies, or future electional stuff, or anything else. You know what I'm saying? So these are direct motives, bought and paid for by who? The left side, the Democrats, and even higher up. And you know exactly who I'm talking about. So just like anything else, like the CV, everybody's going along with it until they actually find the connections and wake up and say, "Hey, wait a minute, got to question this, right?" Well, it's the same thing here. Same thing here. Let's see. There's a new question came up. It says, "Getting along." I guess that's the name of the thing. It says here from the 9/11 that 20 survivors are pulled from the rubble in 27 hours. Those buildings were 110 stories tall, too. What is Florida excuse for moving so slow on measly 12-story building? Exactly, which raises another red flag. Why? Because the politics involved, the high-profile people living there, and the connections, too. Okay. The one for the other one in New York didn't have such a density of politicalness and corruption connections. You see what I'm saying? So that's why things were moving fast. At the same time, even if it wasn't that and a bunch of hoo-ha, this was just a bunch of hoo-ha, an FF, okay? Of course they're going to go slow. So it's a two-way factor. They're covering up because of the political misconnections and the reverse money trail that we found, right? or the proof that it's an FF and really something else is happening, right? Somewhere else. And they're doing it to steer us away from the focus. That's why I tell all you guys, don't just focus on this. Have your head on a swivel 360 degrees, because if they're planning this, something else got through the Senate. They're passing some stupid bill, right? Or Congress, I mean. Or something else. They're steering away from Trump rallies. Or there's something else. They're steering away from election. You got to understand, Florida has midterms coming up. Midterm elections coming up, 2-year wise. Think about that too, right? You know, here's the thing everybody don't realize. You just got to kind of sit back and look at all the evidence and absorb the information, but write names down and reverse their names to who they talked to, who they communicated with, who they know, and reverse the money trails. It always surfaces. Always, always, always. It always nips corruption in the bud. There is no other way around it. Just like I tell my husband, don't lie to me. I said, even though I can't do nothing about your lies, God will. Oh, God's going to punish you. He's going to take you over a knee and he's going to smack you if you lie to me. See, in the same way, you got to do the same thing to these people. They're no different. Why should Americans trust anything in our government anymore? They've been lying to us since Roosevelt, if not before. And I'm not saying I'm against government. I love our government. I love our country. I love our country and everything, I love everything. But, when you catch certain dirty, bad politicians or certain branches of the government that can't tell the truth and they're not true blue, to me, they're worse than a toe jam between my toes. Right? Let's see, what's the other questions here? If they're going to build apartment building condos, it requires, what was that Carol saying? It requires government to be sure they kept it up. I dislike apartments. Well, that's why they're supposed to have inspections. So again, there's corruption in Miami. The building inspectors probably didn't inspect it right and was bought and paid off. We've seen that same corruption in New York. Big cities have it. It happens. Getting along, they had to evacuate the SAR team yesterday. They can't go fast. I have SAR training. It's dangerous work. Oh, well, good luck with you, Carol. Be safe. So Getting Along says, so was 9/11 more so? Here's the thing. If you don't know, if you only believe the surface stuff that you're hearing from your TV, radio, and whatever else you're listening to, then you really don't have the whole truth. Getting Along. And what you need to do is actually reverse the money trail on the ownership of that building and reverse the money trail of any high-profile people that might have lived in that building, if there was anybody. And I haven't done that, but if there is anybody there. At the same time, you have to look at, was there construction going on? Was there electrical and plumbing going on? Was there any failures of anything that was written up by the city of New York that got in trouble with any kind of situation like that? You have to look at it all. I'm not going to explain that in this show here. Let's see what else. Getting Along, they're stalling for hiring a defense attorney. Yeah, see, that's another thing. When they know they did wrong, you'll see a longer process on the solution, which means, yes, they're stalling probably to get defense attorneys for the high rise to protect that property. Okay, think about that. And if that's true, also look into then the insurance. Who holds the insurance for that property? Not for the condos, the individual condos, because that's on the individual owners. Okay, but I'm saying for the actual ground property. Okay, Let's see. Carol says, yes, there is a DC speak, crazy things going on. Don't think there has anything to do with the collapse in Florida. Here's the thing though, Carol. Always distractions. FFs are distractions. Remember, they're going to get grander and bigger. Well, this might be one of those grander ones for a bigger distraction for a reason of something else happening. So yeah, there's more to come. Trust me, a lot more to come. And I also, I gotta get it because I just got an update. Hang on a minute, where did it go? I don't know if you guys know this or not. Hang on, I got some interesting stuff that just came in. Hang on, hang on. All right, I had to get my notes and write them on multiple different electronic devices. So here's the thing. I'm going to give you guys, give me a minute here. I got to find it. But I got an update. I'm not going to rule out on the situation that this thing was possibly done by a DEW. For those who know what it is, if you don't, go research it. That's D.E.W. And this could have been one of those remote detonational things, possibilities. Okay. So I'm not ruling that out. I'm still looking at that. But I got an update here that the reason why we have to have FFs this big now is because of the situation of reversing a lot of the election stuff that's happening in different states. Okay. And a lot of some of you guys know or not know that some of the states were overturned. And they're almost to a point where all states are on board and have found that T-Man is ahead, basically. Okay. But they're also saying they're expecting military to attack UK and Germany with NATO US forces, I guess, to trigger other events. So this is just one of those little big events that happen in Miami for other bigger events to happen. Okay. The same thing with Fosse. Okay. They have to have this kind of distraction so that they can deal with rallies and Fosse and if there's any riots happening or anything else. Right. So it's important that we keep our perspective and our hope. Okay. And Bible close to you and all that stuff. Right. And they're about, just to give you guys a heads up, they're about ready to do their last card. So if you're not prepped up, you better get to the store today and get the rest of your crap. Okay. But they're saying never to lose hope on anything. And we're looking, instead of, the timeline has actually shifted where they were thinking months that this stuff was going to happen on the last card that they're going to dealt out, but they're looking at weeks. Okay, weeks. And I'm saying anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks, I'm guesstimating, because if they're saying weeks, you can't go past 4 weeks, right? Let's see. And they're saying right now that the nation, a lot of people are not going to understand the moment and the pain and the loss that's going to happen. So we need to mentally prepare for loss. Okay, you guys understand me? You're feeling me right now? I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I know I've lived my whole life losing family members. So I'm going to pose a question to you. How can you live on your own? You yourself and survive on your own. Not relying on a husband, not relying on a wife or girlfriend, a mother or a dad or a sister or a brother. How can you live on your own? Right now, just to give you an update, also, it looks like things are increasing over there in that area on the UK and other areas of stuff in that region, Middle Eastern country areas. Um, it's not looking good, I'll tell you that. And um, like I say, they have to have destructions before things happen, right? And for those who want military update on stuff, they are using our alternative, non conventional weapons. I'll put it that way. Okay. Let me see what else I got here that just came in. Bear with me. Just to show you proof that our weather is kind of being manipulated, I have a message here that was sent to me about in Chicago, where they had exploding underground water pipes with a loud boom 20 minutes before tornado warnings were put out. This is in Chicago, Illinois. So, what would create that, guys? Your energy weapons, right? The other thing is what I got is in Canada, they found a connection to the U.S. and other thing. Remember the little situation where they wanted to fuse together Mexico, United States, and Canada for trade deals and all that crap, right? It's an excuse. It's a pedophile ring, guys. So what's happening is they're finding the largest human trafficking of pedo uh, that lines that go into the northwest region of Canada. It's part of JB's money line. So remember, money trails, reversing money trails, it finds all this stuff, right? So yeah, it's there. Anyway, so that was just the immediate update. I get things throughout the day because I'm working on several different things. What else do I got here coming on? Well, here's the thing, Kara, on UK. Did you do a reversal on Biden with UK? I think that explains things right there. You know, it's not that they're trying to stir war. It's the deals that Biden made or the family made with the UK. Okay, especially Ukraine. Let's see, where the people voted to go do again, part of Russia. Yep. All right. Let's see what else. All right. Yep. So this is my first show today. I will, if I come down with any other information on the stuff from Miami or anything else, watch for my Twitter page. I'll have the show posted there for those people who didn't get my first show. My first show from yesterday, or the show from yesterday that's connected to this show, is in my YouTube page, which is also in my Twitter page, I believe. And then for those who want to make a donation to my work, go to the PayPal and put it in there. Whatever you can do, anything is helpful. So until next time, yeah, PayPal. That's where you go. PayPal. That the link's either in YouTube or here. I'll put it scrolling on the bottom for those that might be in chat that want to donate right now. Give me a minute. Let me find it. Hang on, I'll get it for you. Okay. So this scrolling on the bottom, okay, the link is in there for for PayPal for those who want to do any donations to my work. To check it out there and share this with people because we need to start questioning things, their motives. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Are they purposely doing the FS to, throw a bill or an executive order through that they're not going to tell the public about? Probably. So we got to look. You can't just focus on one thing, guys. You can't focus on one thing anymore. You got to go into it with a 360 perspective. You know, and at any point in time, we could go to war too. You don't know, but we could. It's a possibility. Anyway, if I'm able to do a show a little bit later today, I will do it. Maybe, hopefully, we'll do one tonight. Maybe, who knows? Maybe something on UFOs. I don't know. It depends on what people bring to me, that they want me to cover or things of the information that, happens. So, anyway, this is Boho with the info. We're over and out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming to the show. And please donate to the cause if you can. And we'll see you next time. We're out.